So, mate, it'll still go, will it?
It started again, yeah.
It'll start again?
Yeah, but what the issue is now, until the computer resets, we've got, if we come to these hills here and need low range,
yep.
Until the computer resets itself, it won't select low range.
Mate, I think the technology has come that far that it's all fully automatic.
Hey, didn't you have alternator problems before?
Yeah, and that is a design fault. It hangs too low.
Actually, that's something that's worth noting. The 200's gone back to a stronger front diff. It hasn't got that lightweight little pumpkin thing that the 100 series had, the later 100s.
Maybe they listened to some of their Australian customers.
They probably heard the cracking from Japan.
See how the oldies go and how the newies go. Bring it on.
Oh, this is exciting stuff.
It looks like serious business.
And then once you're through the rut, just go. Go like you stole it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go for it! Go! Put your hands up!
This is going to be hell today. I can't wait. It's awesome. Just as the track dries out, it starts raining again. Welcome to Victoria. Without four-wheel drives, nothing happens in this country because it's so big and it's so wild. And here at the Murray 1 power station, you really get to see it in its fullness. See these generators? There's 10 of them. Each one of them produces enough power to power 95,000 homes. And this whole Snowy Mountain scheme, and this is just one of 7 generating plants, was built by four-wheel drives. So Leslie Thies saw how the Land Rovers were struggling and the old Jeeps and the Dodge Power Wagons, and so he bought out the first Toyotas in 1957. And from that point on, Toyota changed, Australia changed, four-wheel drives changed. It's interesting, isn't it, that the biggest green scheme in the country, the scheme that irrigates half of Australia, that provides so much power, was all built off the back of four-wheel drives. I find that fascinating, especially now when they're trying to keep us out. But here we are to see what's changed since that day as far as four-wheel drives go. We've got Toyota's latest and we've got Toyota's oldest, and we've got a couple of patrols that span some of that time frame too. Let's take them out and see if the modern four-wheel drives are just as capable in the bush as the old ones used to be. We start our journey at the Murray 1 power station, just outside of Cancoban, and from there we're heading over to the Roofton Hotel to catch up with a few mates. Waz's got a bunch of tracks along the way that'll really sort these vehicles out. They're up there in front, I'm somewhere behind. That's the easiest way to get around the high country anyway, if you're a Queenslander. It's beautiful country though, especially this time of year, you know, the 15 minutes when it's not raining in Victoria. And believe me, it has been raining down here. They've actually had higher snowfalls and higher rainfalls over the 4 or 5 months before we got here than they have had in over a decade. And by crikey, we're talking some potential serious sludge. Leading the way on this trip, we've got Wazza, who's navigating for Big Al in the mighty, mighty Maverick short wheelbase. Tim's along in his GU Patrol. Tim's a Victorian and a big-time high country driver. Really good to know he's there. Glenn brought the Roo Systems 200 along. All the power in the world. Let's see how he goes. Don's in the TJM Prado. Since our Cape trip, Donnie's had the Prado Roo Systems up, so it's got bigger berries. Steve, who hasn't had any four-wheel drive experience before, has got the hardest job of the lot. He's driving the Hilux with the GIC Extreme Ranger on the back. And I'm there with Milo and Jack the dog.
Guys, this is the Lake Buffalo dam wall. We're going to go over here now. It does get a little bit serious on the other side of this dam wall, so I think the plan is that Milo and Big Al and me and the GQ will go first.
So Wazza, there is a lot of water around. What's the go?
The go is that this is where men are men and men in new cars are not, because this is where it all starts to get pretty serious. It's maybe your only time to turn around.
What do we got here, Woz? What's happening?
Well, mate, this is an old Victorian favourite, and this is classic sort of mud, clay, kind of just pea soup kind of stuff. You're going to have a lot of fun up this hill.
I'm just sitting here looking at all the mud splattered up the tree next to me, actually, yeah.
So it's definitely a pretty hardcore thing. And the tip here is low 2 and on the board.
Righto, mate. Talking about trying again. Let's see how far we get.
Here we go.
Oh, go hell. Oh well, we'll keep all fours on the ground. See how the all-terrains handle this one.
Ooh, that was all right, was it?
Okay, here we go.
Oh, straight into the sludge. Gotta love Victoria for instant sludge.
Woo, the all drains are slipping their little asses off. A good thing. Wow, that was interesting. That was just 4 wheels spinning all the way. All the way. Geez, the motor sounds good. That felt good. Donnie!
Glenno.
Mate, what gear did you come up there in?
Mate, I came up in second low and did it easy with plenty of berries in reserve. It was terrific.
Mate, that's good. It looked good. Sounded
Mate,
good.
Mate, sounded good, mate. The chip and the exhaust that you put in it, mate, has made all the difference.
That wasn't berries, mate. That was like grapefruit. It's insane. They're not supposed to do that, you know.
No, and up to date it hasn't been doing it, but mate, now, well, I've got a chance at some of these power hills.
Well, Kyle, let's go before he gets a fat head.
Okay,
mate,
right,
burn
right,
some dirt. Back off and into it again. Alan wasn't got the maverick all rolled up. Milo's coming up close behind. We're all over the shop on these slippery tracks.
Go, 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 go. Oh, nice work, buddy. How you going, JR? How's that throttle, Donnie? Using the power?
This brings back memories.
Oh, these washouts are sloppy.
All the way through this trip, we kept running into trail bike riders. Awesome stuff. They're out having the same sort of fun we're having, getting through a whole lot quicker, of course.
I think we might almost go a little bit backwards here.
Tim came up in the patrol pretty easy. You'd kind of expect that. He's an experienced high country guy.
Well, just like a drive in the country on these tyres.
I'm coming back.
My initial thoughts were a bit of panic because with a camper trailer on the back you don't want to slide backwards. John sort of gave me a bit of advice there and...
All it is I've
seen it happen before, you know, like you start slipping backwards and then it's uncontrollable and all of a sudden you've got a really bent trailer.
We thought it was best to unhook the camper trailer in case I jackknife behind it and flip the Hilux on its roof.
Just like that, Steve. Oh. It's got a very good LSD in that, right? So come around low 2, get it right up here, get your passenger right up here, and just go, right?
As far as driving in this sort of country goes, you've got to be quick on the wheel, you need lots of power, lots of momentum. We're lucky we got the Coopers, and lots of spin on the wheel to keep you away from the trees.
As Roothy explained to me, there's only a thin layer of mud on top of the actual surface. We made it look like cowboys screaming up there, but there was a method to the madness.
This is the sort of country where if you haven't got decent rubber, you're going to know about it. Nothing makes up for a good set of mud tyres when it gets like this. Boy, am I glad I got the Coopers on. Part of sticking Big L up the front was that he had the biggest tyres of the lot of us, which meant he could clear some of that slop off the track, make it easier for us. That's the theory. But on this particular section, boy, were we all over the place. I'd love to tell you where we were, but hey, my old truck doesn't have a mapping system or a GPS or any of those other fancy things. It's just got a whole lot of berries. Sometimes, when you're sliding around backwards and all over the place, the best thing you can do is just get the truck on the other side of the track, or at least get it moving sideways, backwards or something. As long as there's a bit of movement, you've got a chance that sooner or later the tyres will grab and you'll go forward. That's kind of what I was relying on, I can tell you. The method's pretty easy. Get the slop off the track, get the truck up the track. Ooh. Lots of mumbo, lots of action on the wheels. This is not the time to be frightened of going from lock to lock on the steering. No way.
Go, 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 into it, into it. That's it, mate, that traction control is working. Go, Donnie.
Jesus, it's sloppy. See what I mean? Sloppy.
Donnie really sharpened up his off-roading techniques on our Cape trip. He's really got the hang of it now, and with 30% extra power, he's loving it. Go, Don. Watch the tree, mate. Watch the tree. Good on ya.
You're up, mate. Good call. Nice drive, Donnie. You'd be punching the sky with that one, mate.
I was absolutely elated, and I think I also congratulated Glenn Haddon when he got there behind me.
How good was Donnie's run? That was sensational. Okay, I've got a similar problem, maybe a little bit worse with the white tyres. They're only 50%. I've lowered them down. Second gear, low range. We'll see what happens.
The first glance of it was slippery, wet, 40, 45 degree incline. Bad enough that Steve had to leave the camper behind. Mate, it was just lock to lock. Bit of speedway style, mate, but adrenaline rush. Mate, during the drive, imagine 4,000 RPM V8 twin turbo diesel. There's nothing better. You hear the roar, you're stepping sideways, you're going like this.
Working the wheel. She's coming up, here we go.
200, man, it just kept going and going and going. And it was just being on ice. I thought there was no way in the world we were going to actually make it. I saw Al and Roothy struggle, but to their credit, they flicked all the top loose stuff off for us, and I just gave them the berries. I had no other alternative. Getting to the top was like mission accomplished. It was a great feeling, actually.
I think this is the day of the late model cars. Try and beat that.
Hello, mate, we're clear of the top. We're all ready.
I'm not. First time four-wheel driving.
As you come around that corner, mate, into it.
I'm out with mega experts. Absolutely anxious. There was no control over the vehicle. You just basically had to try and keep it in a straight line. I didn't come back as much as a few of the other guys. I think I took a better line through the initial corner. I still veered way right and hit that embankment, but the Hilux just powered up through it. There was no problem there whatsoever. I was thinking that they're going to be winching me up that hill unless I just put the pedal to the metal and hope for glory. There's only a thin layer of mud on top of the actual surface, so as each vehicle went through, they cleared the way for me. I think I was 4 or 5 vehicles back. I had no experience going into four-wheel driving, so if I can do it, anyone can do it. But always have someone experienced with you. Don't go out there alone, don't try and do it alone. Always go with another vehicle and hopefully someone that's experienced in what they do, because you are going to get into trouble undoubtedly and you need someone experienced there to get you out of it. Getting to the top of that hill after that climb, I was exhilarated. I was breathing like I'd just run a marathon, and I felt like Sir Edmund Hillary after he hit Everest. Speechless.
The more vehicles that went up, the better the track got. By the time Tim, who was coming up the back, got his turn, he was roaring up there. Things had stiffened up somewhat. I'm not going to admit it was the GU. Wow, we all made it to the top, which was amazing. But it was mostly because of 2 factors, okay? The first is, down the bottom, we went to 12 PSI. As soon as we saw what was happening with Big Al in the pig, man, we dropped him, and so did he, and that's what got us up there, 12 PSI. The second factor, as you can see, is that in those sort of conditions, you've got this slippery layer of really soft stuff on the top. And unlike a whole lot of other four-wheel driving situations, as each vehicle goes over, the track actually got better, more and more traction. Whew, talk about good fun. All right, can't stop now, we've got more fun to do. Come on guys, it's time to all rock and roll.
I mean, I go back and I look at people like Len Bedell, for example, and he cut all of those roads through the outback with you know, very, very limited equipment, and one of the things he had was a Land Rover. And the poor old Land, he really did a hard job, but it was instrumental in breaking through. The Snowy Mountains, as I said, going right back with the Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser in those early days was instrumental in getting people around on the Snowy Mountain scheme. So it really did establish itself as a vehicle that could take people anywhere in this country. And I think ever since those early days, we've been trying as hard as we can to get to just about any point in this country as best we can. And people have succeeded.
You can drive along the blacktop in a normal car, you can drive along the blacktop in a four-wheel drive. But to get off and see the real scenery, the real beautiful Australia, you need that four-wheel drive. Four-wheel drives are the access that we need to show our kids exactly what Australia's about. It's so beautiful, there's so much to see. Get out there in a four-wheel drive.
So next morning, there we are at the bottom of Britannica, which Wazza describes as reasonably technical. What he should have said was reasonably technical with a whole lot of mud on top of it. Mind you, Big Al took the conventional approach and blasted straight up through the intro. The problem was, down the bottom of this track, there was a couple of huge ruts. Sometime in the days before, something with really big tyres had dug it up. So I decided to try a technical approach with Milo, and look what happened. Padunka! Over she goes. with all the grace of fat Kevy falling off a bar stool. I'm sitting inside. I'm not worried. The guys are outside. Jack the dog, though, well, not happy at all. Tim's got the winch on, but you note that he's got it onto the chassis. There's nothing wrong with the sidebars. Andrew's TJM sidebars would have handled it no problems at all, but I wanted it direct onto the chassis just to roll it back that little bit slower.
Now I'm just going to hold you on here. Do you want to back a bit? Winch out.
Thanks to all that TJM side protection, there wasn't any damage anyway. Not even the roof system's exhaust got bent. Second time round, take the easy route, Roothy. No problem, straight up there. How was that, eh? Is that pretty good?
That was good. That was one for the team.
That's called falling over.
That was called...
That's called, why didn't anyone else take the left-hand track? You know what, that's the first time ever Milo's fallen on a side. He's come very close before, lots of times. First time ever. Victorian high country. And it's wet. Tyres are down. And it's that dog, you know. He's got such a big fat ass. When he shifted from one side to the other, the truck fell over. Should have followed Big Al the first time.
Okay, boys.
Having seen how it went, Don tried the right-hand track. Straight into the ruts and straight away. Good on you, mate. You can see his traction control cutting in and out on this hill too.
Mate, it was a real technical drive. Wheel placement very critical. Diff placement, articulation, finding the traction in the tracks. You really had to have your mind on the job, otherwise, man, you were going backwards.
Well done, mate, well done.
Look at that traction control doing its job here.
And once again, by the time Tim kicked off, he'd watched everybody else go through, and he's got this stuff nailed. That GU, that's a weapon. Don't know about the Maverick though. It's got to be possibly the best truck on this trip, I'd reckon. Maybe even a little bit better than the green truck. But hey, I can say that. It's a good thing, that Maverick. Glenn's problem's traction, but as usual, he just gets around it with more mumbo and a lot of action on the wheel.
Listen to that traction control. Tick, 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 tick.
In conditions like this, there's not a lot you can do other than follow the ruts. And if the ruts have been made by something with bigger tyres and suspension lift than you, well, you're going to grate out. One of the best things about the Extreme Ranger is that it's got independent suspension, which means that there's no beam axle to go ploughing up the middle of the track. Steve's taken full advantage of it, slipping straight into the ruts and gunning the berries out of it. And when he does stop, it's not the trailer's fault, it's the fact that he's just run out of traction. It's the long A-frame on the Extreme Ranger that gives it its stability under tow. But of course, that's always the first thing to catch too, as soon as you get into a bit of lumpy stuff. Didn't do it any damage though. These ruts were so deep, we knew something big had been up here before us. And that's why Al, even with his 35-inch tyres, the biggest on this trip, was dragging his pumpkins all the way up. It made the rest of us think, gee, what are we going to do here? Once you see a pumpkin rut and you know the guy's got bigger tyres than you know you're in for it.
Massive washaways, deep ruts, which trapped your wheels, and often the front wheels would be in one set of ruts and the rear in another. So it's a matter of putting your car in the right place at the right time.
Well, pretty soon it's Steve's turn again. And I'll tell you what, he's into it.
I'm in the rut and I'm not going anywhere.
Steve knows full well that if he runs backwards out of control, he's going to bend that trailer up and possibly do a lot of damage to the back of the Hilux too. This is no time to be mucking around when you've got a trailer on the back. But he's doing an amazing job, he really is. What Steve really needs now is a free ticket to the bar later on in the day. Good on you, mate.
Well, we've got this new versus old debate. My opinion on the whole thing, and there's good points for both. The old trucks are doing great with their live axle suspension. Yes, the new ones have got independent front suspension. The debate between the new and old, engines, drivetrain, computers, your call. My call is new versus old, good points in both. Let's do some more tracks.
Right at the summit of this track, we came across a really weird problem. The easy track on the right was ditched out that badly that panel damage would have happened if we tried to squeeze up there. Whereas on the left, we had this awesome looking rock that just seemed to take the tyres straight vertical before you got over it. Someone had to call it on this. Al was up the front. He said, I'm going the rock. Wazza said, you can do it, Al. Al said, I don't know, Waz, I don't know if I can. Wazza said, stomp it, do it, point it that way. And guess what? Al drove the Mav straight over the rock. All the traction in the world.
Go, go, go!
Yeah! Whoa, that was a huge effort. That was really big. I don't know if the old girl will do it. Once the pig was up, well, the rest of us knew we could have a go at that too. But there is something very scary about sitting behind the wheel and seeing nothing but sky.
The massive rock ledge on the Britannica track gave me cause for pause. I'd watch Big Al negotiate it with some difficulty. I'd watch Roothy come up, and I didn't think I could do it on my 32-inch tyres, and my approach angles were just not good enough. So, not to damage the car, I decided to get up as far as I could, take it easy, and then winch myself.
But it just proves the point again, doesn't it? The two old trucks are up here, and the new one is down there. Grip's a bit of an issue. Technology, you don't need it, do you? Not if you want to get somewhere.
We are on a precarious angle here, but I think we're safe and sound, and the winch will get us out of trouble.
The 9000 is pretty much the same winch as the 12,000, just geared a bit differently. It's a very strong unit. Job like this, you need everything you can get too.
I thought there's no way in the world. After seeing the other guys going up, my tyres weren't as big. You know, the traction that I had was nowhere near what these other guys had. I lowered the tyre pressures down. I thought I'd bash the bull bar. But actually getting into it, I thought I'd hit the side steps, but we didn't. To actually get up there first time, man, what a sense of achievement. I was just jumping for joy. So what's this about the old winning? Have a look at the tyres on this lap here. Get a load of that. You know, even smoked them up.
Go traction control!
Thanks, buddy.
Little aside here, big difference between the Prado and the 200. It was 18 PSI in the Prado, 14 PSI in the 200. He could have had ball tyres on then, as long as he went low enough, because it's rock. But don't tell anyone I told you.
Mate, smoked them up. How good was that, eh? I thought there was no chance in the world of doing that.
I walked that hill first before we actually drove it, and when I saw that rock boulder, I just thought, this is madness.
Well, this is complete insanity. We're originally going to do a winching scene, and now it's a drive thing.
We're not going to be able to get over this rock boulder, and this is crazy. I've got a trailer on the back. But I was assured that if I did it the right way, which was basically hit the hill at pace, go as fast as I can till I basically get to the boulder and then almost come to a dead stop and creep the front tyres over, I should be right.
Might need to come back and try it again, maybe a bit faster.
Steve?
Yep.
Boss's truck, I know. But you're going to hammer that rock if you punch it too hard.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting stuck 6 feet before it.
Yep.
So see if you can get a bit of a run up, bit more oomph just to get over this bit.
Yep.
and I'll put that rock there, which should kick it up.
All right.
Shouldn't do any damage.
All right.
It's your call, but don't slam into the rock. Back off 3 feet off the rock. Good on you, mate. I know how hard that is. Hey, Steve, you right to go?
Right to go.
Okay, mate. Okay, now, because you got all this weight, and because of the steepness of this gradient, what you need to do, we've got 2 winch extension straps up there. There's about 1 metre to 1.5 metres of kinetic energy, you know, stretching them. So the big trick with something like this is to winch down till the motor starts really working, you know, till it's almost pulling it forward, and then just give it a bit of drive and you'll hop up. Each time you hop, stop, let it build up again, bang it a little bit more, you know what I mean?
Alrighty.
Yeah, I hate doing it, but it works. So that's what you're going to need to do. Man, you're game ass, I tell you, you're game.
Thank you, Ruthie.
Beautiful job, Phil.
Hold it.
Yeah, hold it there and let it build up some tension. Good, it'll go now. Great. That's good. Go for it. Done, right. Beautiful job. Well done. Hold up. Stop, stop, stop.
That was an experience. Very happy with that.
Wow, that was good, eh? Brave on the technique, mate. Very brave. Good on you.
Being a New South Welshman, I'm very proud of my own backyard, but the Victorian Highlands it's just gorgeous countryside, and I couldn't say enough for anyone in Australia, especially the Victorians, to just get out there and do it. It's absolutely stunning countryside up there.
Climbing to Lake Mountain, for me, first time in the snow was a super experience, a lifetime changing experience. The closer we got to the mountain, the more snow was around. Everyone else was looking at the upper scenery, but to me it was about the snow.
Victorian high country, tracks everywhere, and great people and terrific challenges. Mountains that I've never seen the like of before, and tracks going straight up them. Absolutely unique.
It's a little bit chilly. I'm sort of battling in here with my bare legs, but I've thought about you know, our forefathers that were hard and were building the snow, and I think I should harden up. So I'll probably try not to whinge about it too much more.
I'll turn the heater off then.
It is cold though.
A little bit of water in it.
Yeah, she's full.
Holy dolly, look at that.
In the summertime, it's sort of right down the bottom. There's a good bit of grip at the base of it, but that's that's flowing. There's a bucket load of water in there.
I can see the rocks in it.
Yeah.
You know what we got to do, guys? We got to find someone who's clearly impervious to cold to walk this for us.
Send the dog in.
A Victorian.
Hay was. Preferably a local chap.
Do I get to get my jocks out if I walk it?
Oh, mate, you can sit in the raw for the rest of the day. You can do whatever you want.
Christ, I can't believe I'm doing this.
I can't believe you're doing it. I wouldn't do it.
Off you go, Waz.
Oh, I felt that.
Oh, I'm so good looking. Whoa. Hey, Waz, here comes the crucial bit. What's that crucial bit?
This is where the Jats crackers. Gonna teabag the brick. Teabag the creek.
It's good. It's very cold, but it's good.
With the Prado, because we know this from high country, they float really good, mate. So you want to be aiming a little bit to the left.
Cool.
And then when it starts to float, because it probably will with this height, just give it the berries and go head towards the exit. You'll be right, because sooner or later it'll grab somewhere down there.
Cool.
Oh, right, yes,
Oh, well, that was really good, wasn't it, to do that. Now we know what we're up against here, which is not a lot of depth, no real need for a bra. A little bit of cooling down, which should take about 3 minutes. Otherwise, diffs will be hot. Everything's hot, sucks in the water. Headlights off, obviously, or they'll all snap in there because it's probably about -6 degrees or something. And most of all, especially for the Prado, they float. Cars float when the water's like that. So Donnie's got the big job here. He's going to have to poke it a bit to the left, and then as the water takes it, if the water takes it, screw it up lots of berries and go that way. Paddle wheel, here we come.
Woz did have a surprise for us up at Lake Mountain. I had no idea I was going up into the actual snow country with 1.5 foot of snow.
Oh, we're up at Lake Mountain. There's a blizzard coming in. Good time to park the old girl up. She's not real good in that stuff. I'll take this thing for a roar instead.
I feel like Scott of the Antarctic. This is unreal.
The snow was falling so much lower than normal that we had the chance to go and camp in it. Now, it's not the sort of thing sensible people would do, but we figured, what the heck, let's give it a go. Glenn Haddon had never seen snow. Well, Don, he's a Queenslander too. We're not exactly used to this stuff. And Steve, while he might have spent a bit of time in and out of the snow, he's not used to it either. Big Al had the idea though. He had a fire in a box all ready to go. I guess you get that when your job's joinery. Pretty soon we had a fire blazing, didn't even melt the snow, and we've set up the camper and we're in. Oh, hello. Cooking segment time. When you're in the snow, first thing you got to do is laugh. Is that right, Hasbeen? Because man, is it cold. But that's all right, because I got something I'm going to cook here. It should warm us all up with a bit of luck anyway. I don't know what to call it. What am I going to call it? It's got prawns and stuff in it. Prawns and noodles and things.
It's been a bit muddy, a bit of quagmire.
Quagmire prawns. Glenn's a snow virgin. This is the first time he's seen snow. You can tell he's really impressed. How's it going, mate? Let's get into this and see how we go. Righto. Starts out by trying to get the gas to burn. It won't burn because it's saying I'm too cold. There it goes. Off we go. Here, beauty. Now, olive oil, onions. Beautiful. In go the onions. Whoops. Now, the flavour for this meal comes from a couple of U-Butte ingredients. First one's garlic. Lots of, because it's freezing. There's about half a bottle in there. And the second is chilli. Lots of, because it's freezing. You'll have to pardon me if I lapse into a bit of Russian every now and then. It's this hat. It makes me feel like Russian. Get that frying a little bit. Now, once again, My bacon was actually frozen. I took it out this morning, it was frozen, so fortunately the bacon pieces weren't. In they go. So we got onion, garlic, chilli, and some bacon pieces. Oh, gee, that feels good, smells good, and it's warming up the tent. Right, now before things get too hot, this is diced capsicum. This is where we add the yabbies, except they're not yabbies. It's frozen prawn meat. Oh, look at that, it's still icy. Holy dooly, how did that happen? You can hear the chili getting into everyone's lungs.
Clearing the sinuses.
These are the old hockey and noodles, as you know, they're a bit of a favourite with me because they're pre-frozen. They're not pre-frozen, John. They're just frozen because we're in the high country. I took them out of the fridge and they froze. Righto. Well, we're just about there, guys. I know you're hanging out. Actually, they're just cold, but that could be a shiver of anticipation. Let's give one more stir. Turn up the gas a bit because I've got a couple more things to introduce. Well, I did a good job of introducing that. The handbrake will be pleased. There we go. This is cream. Look at that. How good is that? And this is Butterham lemon and lime marmalade, which means it's got ginger in it too. That's going to really add something to this. Mostly jam. Now, somebody has to volunteer to taste this. I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking Gleno, being the snow virgin, he should get to do that. Do you reckon? What do you reckon, Glenn?
I won't say no.
You won't say no? Hang on, I've just flicked some of it out of the pot. I want an honest opinion on this, mate. Have you got a fork? Okay. There we go. Give that a try. Tell us what you reckon. It's definitely a nasal clearer, isn't it, with all that chilli and garlic?
Definitely not sharing it. Yes,
Well,
it's hitting the spot now.
There you go, Quagmire prawns, brought to you from the snow country of Victoria. Wow, it might be cold outside, but inside we're going to be warm. It's pretty good. All right. Okay, off you go. We're going to feed the crew.
Guys.
Pretty soon we're heading out of the back of Big Patch Creek and the mud's flying again. And this is a different sort of mud. Softer, deeper. Oh boy.
Very pumped. Can't wait to see what the trailer's going to do today. It's going to be good. Got me nervous.
Here we go!
Go, buddy, go!
Everything I've ever read or seen about World War I, well, it makes me think we were there right in the middle of it on this day. Fair dinkum. The snow's melted, 6 months worth of rain. The mud had to be at least 8 feet deep. We were losing boots, shoes. I'd have lost my thongs if I'd had them on. Almost lost the dog at one stage, but never mind, he showed up.
Right hand down, right hand down.
3 hours into this, we worked out we've done about half a kilometre, and it's at least 5 or 6 kilometres to the nearest turn. This is not good. And guess what? Every time we got through a tough bit, it just got worse. Big Al in the Maverick, he was awesome. He had it all over this track. Well, as all over as you can get before you get stuck anyway. Milo did some good numbers too.
The reason why we had to scream to Roothy to stop right there is this is a bit of a death corner. So a little bit more to the right, he would have been down here and into those ferns, and that's a fair income recovery. It's probably an over and over. But you can see the wheel tracks here. He came. That's where he stopped. So he was pretty lucky.
Just pulled up in time.
Could have been a fair bit of fun, that one.
He would end up on his Roothy.
Yeah, it's got plenty of traction. You can see the traction control working, so you'll enjoy this. So just give it deeps and get through.
Cool.
Righto!
Wazza was our tour leader in the first week in the Victorian High Country, and he took us to the World War I track. And when I saw him in his footy boots, shorts, stripped ready for action, I knew it was going to be a massive day of challenges.
Now watch Gleno, he's all over the place. Thank heavens he's good on the wheel. The best thing about a track like this is that even when you're taking your pumpkin out, it's nice and soft, isn't it? Mostly because it's 6 foot of mud.
The differences between the old motor and the new motor, it's just a computer, virtually. There's still a 4-stroke diesel engine. Still got high compression, they go up and down, they run oil, they've got power steering, they've got everything that the older trucks have got, but they're electronically controlled. They're safer because of the factory computer. It's a safety thing. You can't over-rev the engine, you can't overheat it, you just can't wreck them. You know, they're just going to last forever.
I wonder how deep that is.
It's soft bottom, it's 6 inches or so.
Yeah, but it's hard.
A foot to 18 inches, and just a bit deeper back there. Once my front wheels start to drop, I'm on it.
For recovery practices, you need to limber up first. So when you see a hole like this, it's often best to start moving a few muscles, stretching out, because I reckon I'm going to be doing a fair bit of work for you getting through there.
Oh, I don't know. Judging by Steve's technique back there, mate, I don't think he intends going through the hole. I think he's just going to take off about here and land over there.
That's a big hole there.
Don't print that.
The problem with this hole was the drop-off angle as you went into it. That meant if you'd given it too many berries, you're just as likely to bury the front of the truck halfway down the hole. Not good. Big Al had the petrol Maverick revved up and roaring through here, and petrol power really paid for itself too.
Sorry I've let you down here, but it means Woz getting his hands dirty. I'm all for it, and I don't care.
I cannot get to that cable.
About now we realised how good Steve was on the shovel, and smart with it too. While the rest of us are worrying about how to get the vehicle out, Steve's decided to drain the puddle and see what he can do about a bit of track maintenance too. Good on you, mate. I'll have a go at this, but I honestly think even in reverse going that way, I'm going to lose traction before he does. And if that happens, we'll chain it to something, possibly green. I had to chuck it in reverse, just to double up on the traction. It's not often you can sit there in reverse and not go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm happy to run that winch for him now, so... Yeah, we'll just leave that...
extension strap?
Yeah, and also the tree truck protector, please, while I'm getting this set up.
Look at this, beautiful, clean, fresh, new recovery gear. I'll give it about 0.8 nanoseconds.
You hold that switch down? That winch is starting to give me the irrits.
What sort of extensions have you got?
There's another one of these, I believe, identical.
TG?
TG.
Right.
Yep.
Watching the speed of that winch, we might be inclined to place a dampener on the cable rather than anywhere else, don't you think? Just this side of the hook?
Yeah, I was just going to put it right here, the dampener, right on the hook.
Cool. Okay,
Yep.
that does me.
Do that.
Let's go.
Oh no, I'll get it on.
You'll get it on.
Actually, they're pretty good, Don. They're nice and flexible, those ends. That's good.
They are good. This is going to be good. What have we done? 300 yards?
Well,
and we're into our third lot of recoveries.
Well, when out on these tracks, we had like Wazza and Roothy, two really experienced four-wheel drivers. The trust you have in these guys, you just know what they're doing. The communication that they were giving people.
Because of this bog hole, it's heavy, right? So you need to tension that winch cable up as much as you can and enter the bog hole under brakes. And that'll save you diving down, right? So yeah, so let the winch pull you in and you almost break into it. You know what I mean? It'll keep the attitude of the car up at the front enough so that I'm not pulling you through all that absolute quagmire.
Mate, everybody just felt safe. I know for myself, I felt in good hands. You know, I had a $100,000 motor vehicle with me, and not once did I think, okay, that's too much for me. We did it. There was always an element of risk, but these guys knew what they were doing.
Okay, start to accelerate now, Al. Really nice, Al. Just back those, just keep slowly revving, keep the winds coming in.
The weather, particularly from a Queenslander's perspective, was atrocious. Freezing, wet, and continually raining, and had been doing so for quite some time. The conditions were very, very tough.
Well, Osbert and I have just had a little chat, and what we're going to do is double up the snatchy off the front of Milo. So we go from one side of the chassis out and back to the other side of the chassis on the two recovery points, and then we'll thread one of the loops of the winch extension strap onto the end of that. Well, it'll have to go on before, won't it, before we hook it up. That'll give us double snatch strength, single winch extension strap strength. So if it breaks anywhere, it'll be up that end, not back this end. That's all right, that makes me happy. There's no shackles involved. And hopefully, because there's no traction here really, but hopefully Big Al can gun the Mavo at the same time as I lop into the hole, and we might get Milo through a bit quicker without having to pull the winch out.
The big bog hole that we came to on this track was a massive challenge, and I was on my 32-inch tyres and I knew I was in trouble.
How was it? Can you get down your knees in the mud and pull my car out for me? Oh, sure, Doc. Mate, the point was.
Righto, while the boys are sorting out that end, I know where Al is, there's no traction at all, so we're going to put Milo in front of it on another snatch strap, just at least to double the lack of traction. So we should be able to make some sort of traction out of it. Fred, I'll have to reverse back if once I got this hooked up, if you could just carry the strap for me.
The World War I track, bog holes that go forever, and winching, recoveries. Man, it was just a total hard day in the office.
Three vehicles in 1 hour? No, sorry, 3 hours. That's my correction, you know, I'm reliving it now, man. That was just insane, absolutely insane. We're going to go through here. Com trucks go through there. Not a 200 series Land Cruiser and a Prado and all these other vehicles. Come on, what are we doing?
Pop it in, that's it. Whoa! When you come in, I won't make the same mistake. Slowly take it up. Go, go! Okay.
And it was just like the suction on this mud. It was like concrete. You know, it was unbelievable. It just stuck. It's like being drilled down bloody 100 metres and trying to get something out. It was definitely an experience that I've never had before.
story's written in the mud, isn't it, Was?
It is.
Like you said, the trail bikes have turned back.
Yeah, and the dirt bikes have turned around.
Somebody got stuck here long enough to light a fire, at least one night. Another busted strap.
Failed recoveries.
They could have left us some wood.
Yeah, let's go make a
I got
decision.
my own wood.
They must have been Queensland.
Get out of here, Was. I think we're going back.
I hate doing this, but it's 4 o'clock. We've got about an hour and a half of daylight, if that. It gets very dangerous winching at night, and we are going to be anyway, just by going back down the track. Our sums at the moment tell us that there's at least 3 to 4 hours to get just to this spot here. And the guys, the information we have is that there's at least 2 more bad spots before we can turn off this track. So adding all that up, and somewhere after midnight we're still going to be winching.
When I heard over the radio that we were turning around on the World War I track, it wasn't a sense of relief that the driving we were doing. I knew the driving that we were doing, we were capable of doing, especially the guys showing me how to do it.
Go! Don't come off! Go!
But I knew turning around it was going to be another 4 hours back, because we had to go back through the exact same bug holes and the exact same ruts and everything we'd just come through. So I knew it was going to be fun at the same time.
Watching Big Al go through, I had a funny feeling we were going to be here for just a little while.
Hey, you just want to pull that rope off and we'll just pull it up with the winch from here.
Well, straight off that.
Yeah, why not? You'd reckon on the trip back down, with the knowledge of where the holes were and where they weren't, we'd have had a better go at it than this. If that wasn't to be the case. We'd stirred it up so much going up that it was rotten on the way back too.
When the decision was made to turn back, I was in two minds. I was thinking to myself, if one vehicle, a good capable vehicle, and a couple of guys went ahead, see how far it was, track conditions, maybe that was an option.
Sometimes the only way to get through is to hook 2 or 3 vehicles together. Pulling, pushing, shoving, at least you've got a chance.
Okay, winch out.
Yeah, I don't like the tree was. I think maybe if we do that again, we'll use 2 vehicles up here, tie them together, and winch off the back of them. Each of these vehicles has got a winch, that way we can control it and we don't go over that edge. Happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Being a novice, I'd never seen snatching and recovering. Wazza, Roothy, Big Al, they really put their heads together to get us back out of that mess.
Yes, mate.
Now listen, get Steve to roll down the window and you call stop. Everyone here has to stop. We'll all hook together then. I just need to go a little further first.
Audio, Don. Like you hate it. Line 2. Line 2. Go.
On the way back, things were getting so tough, we decided the only thing to do was to hook 2, 3, 4 vehicles together in a procession. We could almost smell the beer at the bar at the Reefton. Oh, and then this happened.
Okay, you might to go back a bit, mate.
Mate, we're just having a leisurely boggy affair here in Vic High Country.
Fun and games. Don't we love it? All day in the mud.
This is, I put the front suspensions, letting them down a little bit. That would be it. That'd be the only thing. Yeah, the Diffs.
How much fun's this? Not over yet though, it's going to be a long night I think, but hopefully we'll get back in time and get a couple of cold beers at the end of the night I think.
I think what drove everybody to keep going was just the sense of achievement of completing this track. And I suppose my own thoughts on it were team. Everybody just gelled together, a great bunch of blokes, the same ambition, and it was just a really good feeling.
Well, I got a feeling Gleno's traction control stopped. Independent front suspension means they're not clearing these ruts, and so far it's the old cars that keep pulling them out. Yes! Gleno's lost his traction control, possibly from redlining through that mud puddle, which has done something to the computer. What's the cure, Gleno?
Mate, turn her off. Ignition on and off 5 times.
Ignition on and off 5 times.
Normally resets the computer.
You don't have to get out, sort of walk around the car 3 times anti-clockwise, or...
And hold your tongue to the right.
Can you just make sure it
Do you
works this
believe
time,
that?
because I'm dying for Parmigiano.
I couldn't have any faith in that at all. One of the worst things about this at night was the fact that the lights were covered in mud too. Oh, Struth, you could hardly see a thing.
There'll be a few more of these before the night's out.
It was hard enough to do in the daytime, let alone at night. All this just to get to the pub.
Mate, that was like hell, and it had been raining more and more when we'd been through there, and it was full on.
Don't back off! Let's go, Steve-O! After slogging away in the mud for a good 10 hours, we'd had enough. We turned around, and guess what? It took us another 6 hours just to get out. But eventually, we got back to the pub, and that made it all worthwhile.
It's all good, guys.
Whoa, that's the high country. I tell you what, after a bit of rain, nothing beats it for 4-wheel driving. And the hospitality in the pub afterwards, well, you just can't beat the Roofton. This is just too good. You can't miss it, but this old versus new thing, okay? Now, we've seen the old trucks do really well in all sorts of ways, and we've seen the technology of the new ones work really well too. There's all sorts of pluses and minuses here. At the end of the day, what is the best 4-wheel drive ever built? Well, I know Milo's my favourite, that's for sure. But what about you guys, hey? What do you reckon? G'day! Welcome to Roothy's Ruthless Tales. Go on, grab a slice of fair dinkum, Australia. Get your dose of Roothy and put a smile on your dial.